Welcome back to Hintze in the House. We are the Hintzes.
You start so quickly after I
This is our
get
house.
it set up to go.
Sorry.
Podcast.
Great. Ethan, tell me about pets that you had in your childhood.
Pets. My childhood.
Oh my gosh, you don't have to be that
What even was my childhood?
I don't have time for you to get all existential.
I'm like that, that dog meme when he's like got the big wide eyes and there's like the helicopters from like Vietnam. He's like,
I don't have time for that. Okay, tell me about your childhood pets. Lord have mercy.
We didn't really have a lot of pets growing up as children.
Please tell me more about your tragic child.
No, I mean, we just, after being an adult now and owning pets, it's a lot easier when you don't own pets, especially to like go on a vacation trip or something or do anything, or just not have to take care of a dog every single day.
I love
all
them.
Of the time.
Both of them.
So like my grandparents had a cat that lived they lived in Daytona on the beach.
So a beach cat.
They lived Daytona Beach, but they like literally lived on the beach.
Sure.
So they had a cat there named No Name.
What a name.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so good.
It's weird. So there was No Name. That was like the pet, if you will, like growing up as a kid, like that we had. We almost got a cat at one point when I was a kid, but I dumped a bucket of water on the cat and it never came back.
Oh my gosh, what a savage. Intentionally?
I mean,
like you didn't want to have a cat and so you dumped water on it?
No, I wasn't trying to.
Oh, sure.
I just was like, I don't know, I was a kid and there was a bucket and water and cat, so I just dumped water on the cat and it ran away and never came back. I think Savannah was pretty mad. I think that she wanted to adopt the cat more than anyone.
Sad.
Then, when Savannah went away to college, she went to FSU and she got a kitten named Charlie. And she wasn't allowed to have animals, any sort of pets or anything, so she had to bring him home. And that was the first cat we got. And like,
how old were you?
I don't know. Savannah was in college, so I was probably still in high school at some point, I guess. I don't know. So she brought back this cat in a backpack from FSU.
Backpack cat. So good.
Yeah, so he was the first cat that we owned. He was he's a weird cat too. He's still alive, but he's a weird
Charlie.
cat.
He is weird.
But has he ever really lived? Because I don't know. He's just like, I guess he's lived, but it's been on his terms. He's like really skittish and scared. Like he spent his entire life raised in the house. So if he goes outside ever, he doesn't ever really want to go outside, but if he does, he like slinks around and is like real
so he's
creepy.
A house cat.
Yeah, for the most part.
Totally
but he's like
normal
terrified
thing.
of outside.
Looking at you, Kylo. Anyway.
Yeah.
Kylo is our dog.
So that was the first cat, and then later on we ended up getting another cat, Simba. He was just a stray cat. And he all of his life, his entire mission in life was to get inside of our house. But like him and Charlie didn't get along because Charlie was a troublemaker. So like Simba was probably chill, but like Charlie was like, I kill you. So his whole life was to try and get in the house, and if he ever did get in the house, there was cat screaming and running, and it was just chaos. So like owning cats. But eventually we, took him to the vet, adopted him, made sure he didn't have any weird diseases or anything like that, adopted him, and once we got him, his entire life goal was to be an outside cat. Which couldn't happen, obviously.
Right.
So every time you like came in or went out of a door, you had to like be there ready to like fend off Simba from like flying around the corner. Like as soon as you unlocked the door, he was like, I'm getting out. Today's the day. So you really had to like keep an eye on him. We didn't own any dogs or anything else.
No.
Had a friend who they had a dog, a couple of outside cats, and like 2 birds. And I was like, oh, birds. I want
What a
birds.
madhouse.
But
I
I'm
would never
glad
have
that we never got any
never
birds.
have a bird. No. Nothing against birds. You guys had some fish for a while too.
Oh, yeah, we still got the fish. That was
Yeah.
like Augusta got the fish tank
Fish,
and was doing
they're
fish.
not pets,
I did
but they're
have-
not really pets.
I did have a betta fish one time,
Oh.
and we went on vacation, and I made sure to leave my door closed because we had the cats.
Yeah.
And I put some like mesh over the top, just
Sure.
in case, Also, like sometimes betta fish would do weird stuff like jump out of the tank,
We had a
like
suicidal fish once or twice.
right. So yeah, I just put a net on top, and I don't remember if Savannah was watching the house or I don't remember who was watching the house, but I was like, hey, can you give my betta fish just a couple of pellets of food while we're on vacation? Sure. And I came home and my door was open and the betta fish was dead on the floor and the fencing, like the little netting, had been ripped off. So he clearly died a very tragic death at the hands of Simba or Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But every now and again, like fish, we would get like the neon tetras, like the little fish. And every now and again, like when you'd put them in the fish tank, like they'd like jump out right away. And you'd see like a little like neon tetra like flopping on the ground, like, help, I'm dying. And it's like, yeah, we put you in the tank for a reason.
Right.
So we also had another cat, the gray stray cat, who.
This is a great story.
You want me to just tell this entire story
I
now?
love this story.
So we had this other cat that showed up, and it was the gray stray. My mom is like the cat person in the family. Like everyone else, take them or leave them. Like I don't dislike cats,
Sure.
but I probably wouldn't get one. Especially not like an inside. I just don't like having like the litter box inside. Like that's all just kind of nasty
Cat
to me.
people, like, cats need love too, and more power to you. It ain't us, fam. We are not the cat people.
No, I'm hardly a dog people. I'm hardly an animal people. So this gray cat, he lived on the patio in Florida, so he just spent his entire life outside.
What did your mom call him?
My mom called him Kitty Friend.
Kitty Friend.
I typically just called him the gray stray, or we took him to the vet and figured out that he had the cat version of AIDS. So we also just called him AIDS Cat
So bad.
to identify which cat we were talking about at the time.
It's so bad.
So he kind of became a favorite for whatever reason. The cats are always like super, super nice until you adopt them and bring them inside. And then they're like, all right, I can let my true colors show
Right.
through of who I am.
Didn't let you know ahead of time, but now is the time to let you know that I'm possessed.
Right, yeah.
Like,
So
terrible.
this cat, and I don't know if Mom is going to be watching this. She might be watching it. She might have a different version of how this story went. But I'm going to tell the honest, truthful version of how this
That does
story
not mean
happened.
that your mother is a liar.
I'm not saying anyone's a liar, but some of us aren't exactly telling the truth all the time.
I would also like everyone to know that this all happened at the very beginning of Ethan and I dating.
Oh yeah, that didn't make it into the early dating, but
Yeah, no.
it should have, because it really defined who I was as a person for a while. So,
At least according to your mom, it did.
so let's see.
Oh gosh.
I don't remember what it must have been,
2014.
2014?
We met in 2014.
Okay, so we're talking like 6 years ago. So the wounds have hopefully healed by now. Hopefully it's not too sore of a subject. I try not to bring it up. There's certain things you don't bring up, like the match.
Like who lit the
Who
match?
lit the match? Who
We
knows?
Just don't talk about it.
Just don't talk about
It's
it.
another story for another podcast.
It's a really short story that doesn't really go anywhere. It just
Anyway.
lasts for 10 years and never goes away. Or longer at this point. So, my oldest sister had already moved out. She was doing her own thing, had roommates. My other sister, Augusta, I can name Savannah, she'd moved out. Augusta got married to Travis and moved out. Surprise. And then Mom and Dad were on a trip in Hawaii.
With Alex and Silas.
Alex and Silas were there too. Okay, it was a fencing trip. Yeah, they really like building fencing, those guys. They just really got to check out all that fencing. So I was the man of the house, the pseudo man of the house, The not quite boy, but a little bit more than a boy.
He was 20. Anyway.
But it was my dad's house, so I'm not taking that mantle from him. So I was tasked with taking care of the cats. I mean, no big deal. I was also at the time, I was going to school. I was still going to school, and I was working at least one, if not two, part-time jobs.
No. I think you were just at school, but you were working, well, kind of. You were working at Calvary. You were, like, volunteering.
Okay, but I hadn't started.
You didn't start work until after we started dating.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
I picked a winner.
Whatever. I was going to school. Doesn't matter. So I couldn't just, like, stay at home all day and take care of these cats. So I, in the morning.
This is school 6 years ago when it was still in person.
I would feed Simba and Charlie. They had to get, like, the wet food,
Right.
Had to be wet food. Had to be microwaved a little bit so it wouldn't be too cold. Had to be a nice little warm meal for them.
Don't do cats.
Nice little warm meal for them. And then Aid's cat also got fed. Same way. But he also, like, his food was, like, in the bathroom. So I would just take that out to him. So, first couple of days that my parents are gone, like, just normal stuff, wake up, feed all the cats, clean all the cat poop, clean up the cat throw up, owning a cat, just
Another
normal
reason
stuff.
We don't have cats.
So I'm, going to school, going whatever, coming home, feeding the cats again, more than one meal a day for cats. And so one morning I wake up and I feed Simba and Charlie like normal, and I go outside on the patio, and Aid's cat, Gray Stray, kitty friend, however you want to put it, he is gone, which is not uncommon. I mean, the patio door was propped open, and some of the screens were missing anyway, so he could kind of come and go as he pleased.
He's a stray cat. What do you expect?
Right? He was an outside cat. He did the rounds. He was probably just checking on the neighborhood, like, oh, any yummy rats around for me to eat? No, he definitely.
Anyway.
Yeah, so he was making rounds and whatnot. So I was like, whatever. I left the food. Then I, went to school for however long and came back, and, Simba and Charlie are, still there. I look outside. There's still the food that I left that morning, but I was like, whatever. Like, he's an outside cat. It'll be fine. Like, he's going to come back. Like, sometimes he's gone for a couple hours. No big deal.
Also, this is like the casual atmosphere that Ethan presented to me at the time. It was just like, yeah, my mom has this outside cat. Hasn't shown up in a couple days. I'm sure everything's fine.
At this point, it's only been a day. So then the next day, I get out and I'm like, oh, like, all that food is still there. No one has eaten it. And the cat isn't around. So I'm like, okay, this is, not the best situation to be in. Like, hopefully this cat is going to show back up. But in my mind still, I'm like, it's only been like 24 hours, maybe a little more. Like, this cat is fine. He'll show back up.
I fully assumed, too, that, like, this was going to be just a casual thing of, like, oh, well, the cat doesn't come around anymore. Oh, well, like...
No, the next day, the cat still doesn't show up. Still no cat. Now I'm faced with a dilemma. This cat is gone and is not showing up. And it's like...
You have two options.
I did, like, the thing where, like, I went outside and I was, like, looking around the house. Like, I wasn't walking the neighborhood because... Why would I do that? I'm never going to find a cat just walking through the neighborhood. But I looked around, outside, like in the planter and under the cars, and just checking around the house, seeing if he's like decided to move to a different spot since mom isn't there to like give him all of the love and affection he's used to.
Sure.
Nothing. Now it's like halfway through my parents' like Hawaii trip, and I'm like, okay, do I tell my mom now and be like, hey, this cat that you love so very dearly
has disappeared,
is not showing up anymore, and I can't find him. Probably went somewhere and died, honestly.
Well, when you have cat AIDS.
Or when you run across streets
also
without looking both ways.
Right.
So I was like, do I ruin my mom's vacation? Because I knew that this was going to, like, it was going to eat at her. If I told her in the middle of her vacation, she was going to be consumed with it. She was not going to have a good time anymore. Like, it was going to be, like, totally focused on my poor cat at home is missing whatever. So I decided to not tell anyone. I told Savannah that the cat was gone. I told you that the cat was gone. I don't think I told Alex or Silas, and I definitely did not tell the parents. So then my mom gets home, and of course, like 20 minutes after she gets home, she goes outside looking for kitty friend. And she's like, oh, I didn't see kitty friend out there. You know, where is he? Type mentality. Right. And that was when I had to break the news. I haven't seen him in like a week now, Mom. Right. He just kind of stopped coming a couple of days after you left. And yeah. And apparently that means that I killed the cat.
Right. There was no in between.
Obviously, I hate cats so much that I just had to murder this AIDS cat, clearly, and dispose of the body discreetly, and then play it off like he just never came back.
Yeah.
So.
She was very upset.
Yeah.
And she was very upset at you, like, with you. Like, she wasn't just like, oh, my cat is gone and I'm mourning. It's literally, like, 100% your fault.
Yeah. Because I didn't like catch him. And I should have just caught him and brought him inside. Let him live in the bathtub for a couple of days. Yeah. But I learned but then. No. AIDS cat gone. Never showed back up. Just gone. He went to a higher plane of existence, apparently. When we went back to Florida in August of last year, whatever it was.
Are you sure it wasn't the first time we went back?
It was the most recent time we went to Florida.
Okay, so October of last year.
Okay. When we went to Florida, there was this new stray cat that was hanging around the house. And I was like, oh, okay. So he would like live on the patio, but he was very skittish still. Like, and he had never seen me before since we live in South Dakota. You know, not just casually FaceTiming a cat or something.
Right.
So I go outside one day and he sees me and like books it, like gone. And I'm like, oh crap. And then he doesn't show up for like another half a day. And I'm like, listen, like.
Oh, these cats are conspiring to
this
make
cat
you,
better friggin' show back up because I'm not taking the fall for this one. Like
I don't even live here.
He was clearly scared of me.
Yeah.
He definitely got scared by seeing me. But I mean, I didn't kill him. That was not my intent. I was just going outside.
No, you gave him a heart attack.
I was just going outside.
Went away to die.
Yeah.
And that one's on you too.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So that was.
You don't have cat blood on your hands.
Yeah, apparently cats and me don't mix. We're like oil and vinegar. There was also the time when Simba.
Oil and water?
Anyway. Did I say oil and vinegar?
You did.
Does oil and vinegar mix?
I don't know, but it goes together. Oil and
but
water.
But does it mix?
I don't know.
Oil and water, it can mix. There was also the time before AIDS cat ever came into the picture. Simba, his entire life mission was to get out of the house.
Yes.
So there was one morning where Mom and Gus were leaving very early, like 4 a.m., to go to the church. Gus was going on a mission trip, so they had to get there really early to catch a really early flight, whatever. So, like, I was sleeping and, you know, kind of woke up. You know, you hear people moving around. There's lights turning on and off. So I was like, okay, they're going to the airport or they're going to the church, whatever. So they go out, you know, hear the door lock. Maybe like 15 seconds later, a window busts in. You're like I was like half asleep. Suddenly I was very awake, jumping out of my bunk bed. I was on the top bunk, shared a room with Alex and Silas. Jumping out of the top bunk, sleeping in my underwear, as a high school boy does.
Naturally.
Or maybe I was middle school. I don't remember at this point in my life. But jumping out of my bed, preparing now to face an intruder in my underwear because someone broke a window breaking into our house.
Right.
About 15 seconds later, my mom opens the front door, holding Simba and be like, get inside, you stupid cat. Apparently, Simba had reached the point of desperate. He was so desperate at this point in his life that the only option he saw to get out of this house was to cannonball through a window.
Naturally.
Which he did. And did not get hurt in the slightest. Maybe his plan was to either get out or die trying. And he's like, if I get out, awesome. But if I can't, like, at least I'm going out on my terms. I don't know what his thought was. But he had like a tiniest little like cut on his nose. Like teeny tiny. Like someone poked him with a needle. And that was it. Totally fine. Window obliterated. Like we had like cardboard up for like a couple of days until like we could get it replaced. It was like,
oh, man.
Dude, chill out. But then it was also kind of like, maybe we should reward him for all of his like sacrifice and like just let him be free. Like, if you love something, let it go. But no, he still lives inside. Wow. Makes sometimes frequent appearances on Dropping Hints podcast.
Yeah. If you guys are in the mood for more podcasts and more of these types of stories.
Link in the description down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and then go over there and tell them we sent you.
Sure, do any and all of that. But Ethan's brothers also have a podcast called Dropping Hints. We love them and their podcast.
Mm-hmm. And you can see this crazy mad cat.
That breaks windows to be free.
Yeah. These are crazy times.
Cats are insane.
And now we have 2 dogs who are equally as insane in different ways.
Yes.
We have Kylo, who is basically Charlie in dog form.
I love him. Leave me alone.
And we have Azula,
yeah,
who is a pretty great dog, to be honest.
And for dog talk, come back for part 2 of this podcast. And we'll tell you about my family pets and our current dogs.
That might take more than 20 minutes.
We'll see.
No, you'll see.